Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Friday. It's good to be with you. Fantastic Friday show lined up for you. We were brainstorming, to the team and I, about how we could start showcasing elements of all our programs over a 1 week or 10-day period of time in kind of like a montage type setting, literally pulling the sizzle reels or the highlight clips from each show and putting them in a one show setting for you so you can digest. I literally have a list of 13 different shows. The highlights from 13 different shows in front of me. And we're going to put 13 different shows, the best aspects of 13 different shows in one show for you. Calie Garrett, hello. She says she's on. Are you on your lunch break, Calie Garrett? Hello, it's nice to see you. You are number 3 on this list, Calie Garrett. We're going to feature one of your songs. We're going to talk about how Ted and Susan Anderson of Anderson's Carriage House spent New Year's Eve and New Year's morning with Dave Matthews of the Dave Matthews Band, a bottle of champagne, Dave entertaining Susan and Ted Anderson on one of their first dates, and Ted and Susan Anderson fell in love, started Anderson's Carriage House. The rest is history. We're going to talk about Jim Carpenter, who's going to the wall, an activist for the Dogwood Memorial. He was on the show yesterday, literally sobbing in tears because he was so passionate about what he's doing with the Dogwood Memorial. We're going to talk about Ava Harr of Little Planets, an entrepreneur in the Ix Art Park who is building safe play spaces for kids at festivals across Charlottesville. We're going to talk about that with her. We're going to talk with Carl Brown. We'll highlight Carl Brown and what his ideas are for the statues. An activist in the African American community, Carl Brown, he had some bona fide ideas about what to do with the statues. Harris, watch that sponsor strip on the bottom for me, please. Make sure it's the right one. We'll talk about Patrick Estes, who's running for Albemarle County Sheriff. We'll talk the evolution of Kathryn Matthews and Iron, Paffles and Coffee. Iron, Paffles and Coffee, guys, a phenomenal story. We're going to talk about that and Kathryn Matthews and really spotlight her story. We're going to talk about André, Xavier, and CVille Hop-On Tours and their evolution. Eli Raybon, a musician, sang a phenomenal version of Yoshimi on this program. We're going to cover all the things here on the I Love CVille Show. Before we do, let's thank some of the sponsors that make the program possible. Harris, if you're ready to lock and load, let's go to Intrastate. Intrastate Pest and Service Companies. They've been proudly supporting Charlottesville and Central Virginia since 1969. It started with one truck. Mr. Wells in 1969 with one truck. After he was done servicing his first client, Mr. Wells would go to a phone booth and call his second client from a phone booth in 1969 and say, "Are you ready for me to come to your home?" Today, Intrastate Pest and Service Companies, a 4-generation strong business. We salute them for a job well done. We are proud to be their advertising agency of record. We're also proud to work with Dr. Wagner, Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Who's got your back? Dr. Scott Wagner's got your back. Chiropractic care, sports medicine, and physical therapy. This gentleman changing people's lives at Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. We'll, in about 15 seconds, welcome our director, Harris Tolbert, to the show. The first sizzle reel that we're going to start, this montage, is going to be Jim Carpenter. And he literally was sitting next to me on yesterday's program, and I think was one of the best programs we have ever done on the I Love CVille network. And he was sobbing about how, because he was so passionate about the Dogwood Memorial and the fact that the city of Charlottesville has made this Dogwood Memorial, which is the first Vietnam Memorial at Dogwood, the first Vietnam Memorial, ladies and gentlemen, in the entire country. The first one is right here in Charlottesville, Virginia. And it is not accessible, it's not convenient, it's not handicap compliant, ADA compliant. And when we were talking about this with Jim Carpenter, he started sobbing on the program. We're going to show a highlight reel from yesterday's show. And Harris, I'm going to get you involved here. I thought undoubtedly one of the best programs we've ever done with Jim Carpenter. I'm excited to show this sizzle reel, Harris Tolbert.
Yeah, Jim's fighting for a great cause, and it was awesome to have him on set yesterday to talk about it and how he's leading the charge for it. And yeah, we all got a little bit emotional on set as Jim was talking about his plans to make the Vietnam Memorial, the Dogwood Vietnam Memorial, more accessible to veterans. So we're going to cue that up here in just a moment. I'll throw it back to you, Jerry, and then and then I'll cue it up.
Okay, let me know when you're ready. Jim Carpenter, guys, literally going to the bat for 28 fallen veterans. 28 people from the area died in Vietnam. 28 men. And they are honored on a wall over there by the rescue squad with the Vietnam Memorial. And all he is asking from Charlottesville City Council is to make it more convenient from a parking standpoint, from a walking standpoint, for the military servicemen who served with the 28 who died, and for the families of the 28 who died who want to honor their sons. That's all he's asking. Watch Jim Carpenter, Harris Tolbert, give it a cue.
One of the plaques I'm going to take just a second of Lance Corporal Walter Ross, born in 1949. He was from Fluvanna High School. Walter Ross had 2 more weeks in country. He had people he was going to bring back with him to take him out of a war-torn country, to be able to give them a free life, or give them a life that they won't have to worry about who might shoot them because of what they wanted. They wanted their freedom, something we enjoy every day, but we really don't. We really just let it go past us. And he was killed before he could bring those people back. I've often wondered, Jerry, what happened to those folks that he was going to bring back home? Did they make it? We don't know.
We don't know.
Just like Corbin, my Private Corbin, I think back to him, and not too long ago, I took the virtual tour of the war memorial that's online. I didn't find his name, and I was glad. I'll go back to Jimmy Cardos again. My wife and I, after the after the wall was built in Washington, my wife and I took a day trip up there because I wanted to visit Jimmy. I went to the book and found his name on the page, just to realize the day I was standing there is the day that he died. That's not coincidental. It's just not. It's very humbling when you know God's on your side and you think this memorial should be given a fair chance for people to really understand who these heroes are that's up there. We really need to give them that respect. And I'm just begging to the city council to try to get this right. It's wrong. It's too close. But not let people be able to visit somebody. In Arlington National Cemetery, if you go up there at 2 o'clock in the morning, they have a service to take you over there. It's not a cart, it's a van. It's not a bench on there, it's compliant. It's a place for people to go to show their respect. Why can't we get it straight? What does it take to be able to show their families respect? What does it take? It's going to cost money. Oh my gosh, yes. But there are people that will step up in a heartbeat. This city is so giving. When I went up with that idea about the plaques, I told their board members, yeah, it's going to cost. And they said, how much? And I said, roughly $18,000. $18,000. They looked at me and with one of those, if you do it, you can go ahead and you've got our blessing. 6 weeks we had more than enough than 18,000 and darn near doubled it. That's God's will. That's not anybody's will that says we can't stand up in front of the flag when you give the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. That's ridiculous. Stand up, put your hand over your heart, show them what you mean, and give some respect.
Harris, I mean, I'm watching this now, and I'm getting, like, choked up now. I mean, for me, like I was talking about, and Ted Anderson puts on the stream, that was absolutely powerful. Ted, it was so powerful. I mean, sitting next to Jim Carpenter, and he's going to bat for 28 men who died in Vietnam that are from Central Virginia. And all Jim Carpenter is trying to do is get access to the Vietnam Dogwood Memorial and making sure that the families of the fallen can have access to this Dogwood Memorial, this Vietnam memorial. And I don't think it's too much to ask. And when he was sitting next to me right here on yesterday's program, I could not help but sob myself. And I try for, so often to be strong for the folks that are around me, but I saw true courage with what he was doing, where he was willing to show emotion because he was so passionate about something. How did it make you feel, Harris Tolber, when you were watching it?
It was exceptionally powerful. I mean, I got choked up in the interview when Jim was talking about a mother going and putting her hand on a plaque at the Dogwood Memorial for her son when she was about 99 years old. Her son who had died probably probably 40 years earlier or something recently. It's like, I imagined almost, my mom coming to see me, and myself, and I started tearing up thinking about what that must have been like for her. And we need to do something about this situation, that make this accessible for the people who need it the most. And that's what Jim's trying to do. And I love that. I respect it.
I loved his passion. I love what he stood for. In fact, after he got emotional on the show, I also shared his emotion, and then I had some thoughts about Charlottesville City Council, about City Hall, about making this Dogwood Memorial, this Vietnam Memorial more accessible. And I think it's something that we need to do. Harris, I want you to cue that one up. Tell me when it's ready to go. And I'm going to relay my thoughts from yesterday's program. Harris, your thoughts over there? Are we about ready to crack that bad boy out? All right, cue that one up. Let's play it now, please. We talk about all these things, about how to make Charlottesville a better place. And we talk about the role of the University of Virginia, and we talk about public transportation need to be more approachable and more accessible. And we talk about how we need city council to get along, and how 3 new city council spots are up for grabs in the June 11th primary and then the November election. And we talk about affordable housing, and we talk about taxes. But we're not talking about the first Vietnam Memorial in the entire country not being approachable or accessible or convenient for veterans and their families to access. I mean, this should be front and center for all of us. This should be what we're talking about. And I'm going to make it our goal here, with the help of our team and with the assistance and insight of Jim, to make sure that this stays front and center on our platform and our network. It's not often that I cry or get emotional. I'm not embarrassed to do it. It's just that I try to be strong for people. And sometimes that strength is misguided strength. And I think really the strength and the courage are the people that are able to show emotion like this in public forums, because that emotion is what gets folks to follow and gets folks to understand and to realize what's in front of us and what to get done. And I saw courage today not often seen, and that's from Jim Carpenter. I admire you.
Thank you, sir.
We close the show the same way every day. And how we close the show is by saying a lot of what Jim said today. And that's the golden rule. And I'm a God-fearing person, but when I close the show, I try to make this strictly about the golden rule and about treating other people like you want to be treated yourself. And if you treat others like you want to be yourself, it will have
a viral positive impact on our community. And Charlottesville needs that now more than ever, especially post-August 12th. So please embody the golden rule. In fact, embody the golden rule in the world, please. Truly been in this program. My name is Jerry Miller, the I Love CVille Show on the I Love CVille Network from Monday to Friday, 12:30 to 1:30. Thank you kindly for joining us. I appreciate you.
I mean, I was just moved. The entire show, I was moved yesterday with Jim Carpenter. I mean, I think the man is so committed to Charlottesville and making our community a better place. I was so moved by his passion. I was so moved by his courage. It takes a courageous person in front of thousands of people, and the show reaches thousands of people, guys. It takes a courageous man to show that kind of emotion on screen. And I learn, and sometimes, every time I learn from our guests, and I undoubtedly learned from Jim. I learned that putting, passion and wearing your emotions like you do, like he was doing, is going to get people to galvanize around your common goal. And I know that the Vietnam Memorial should be more accessible to people. I know it should be convenient for folks. 28 people from our community died in Vietnam, and we have the first ever memorial in the entire country. And right now they have to park at the rescue squad and go down a grassy knoll, walk across the street, and folks that are in wheelchairs, folks that are handicapped are unable to get there by themselves without assistance. And that's wrong. That's wrong. And Jim Carpenter, I promise you, I will continue to keep this on our radar. Jim Carpenter, I promise you, you have an open invitation anytime you want to come on this program. Anytime you want, Jim Carpenter, you have an open invitation to come on this program, and I will do my best, my small part of helping you with this mission, sir. You have my word. I want to go to our next sizzle reel, Harris-Tolber. And our next sizzle reel is Calie Garrett. She is a special needs teacher at Charlottesville High School. She is a musician. She is a volleyball coach at Charlottesville High School. She's a hell of a pool player. Billiards, a hell of a pool player. She came on this program 2 Fridays ago, actually last Friday. She played 5 or 6 songs and had Harris-Tolber and I close to tears as well. She literally was talking about stuff that she had gone through in life that a lot of folks don't talk about in a public setting, let alone in front of thousands of people. Going through divorce, going through heartache, being a single mom. And I was truly moved, Harrison, I'm going to throw it to you. I was truly moved by Calie's authenticity and her willingness to wear emotion on her sleeve. What did you think about her performance?
I mean, her music is incredibly emotional, and I think she has this ability to touch the human experience in a really authentic way. Her music just it brought you and I close to tears almost pretty much I think every song she played, and I'm excited to show this clip.
I'm so excited for you guys to see this. This is a best of show. We had an idea of bringing the sizzle reels from our last 13 shows, the best aspects of our last 13 shows, and relaying them to you. Harris-Tolber, give us Calie Garrett.
Can't sleep 'cause I'm in between beds, and I can't speak 'cause the words that you said are insane. You're making me go insane. Excuse me if my laughter's a crime. Could it be that the only way I can contain my heart is playing the game of finding a way to survive this? Can't put my feet on the ground 'cause the water keeps rising and falling again. With the wind in my back, in my face, give me grace for right now, 'cause I'm getting tired. I need a miracle. Each day there's a risk that I take, and I can't change if I come out alive or insane. It's making me go insane. take. My heart is playing the game of figuring out how to thrive when can't put my feet on the ground, 'cause the water keeps rising and falling again. With the wind in my back, in my face, give me grace for right now, 'cause I'm getting tired. I need a miracle. Falling up, crashing down, spinning around and around and around. Where is the answer, the change and the crazy? I need a miracle. I need a miracle. I need a miracle. I need a miracle. Can't put my feet on the ground, 'cause the water keeps rising and falling again. Give me grace for right now, 'cause I'm getting tired. Can't put my feet on the ground, 'cause the water keeps rising and falling again. With the wind in my back, in my face, give me grace for right now, 'cause I'm getting tired. I need a miracle.
That was awesome. Amazing. Calie Garrett, and you're watching, absolutely amazing. She plays the music. She was playing songs that were originals. I mean, first the courage to play originals and to be a singer-songwriter. I was blown away by that talent. The second talent I'm blown away is the courage to wear your emotions on your sleeve. The third thing is to talk about heartache and to talk about struggles with family and to put them in words. I mean, I was just absolutely blown away by her authenticity and her willingness to be herself in such a public setting. Calie Garrett, we give you some big-time props right here on the I Love CVille Show, and you undoubtedly have an invitation anytime you want to come back on the program, Calie Garrett. I absolutely mean that. I want to go to Harris, the next sizzle reel, and I'm going to throw this back and forth to you. This came up at the tail end of our interview with Ted Anderson of Anderson's Carriage House and Susan, his wife and fabulous business partner. Anderson's was and continues to be an institution in Charlottesville with Anderson's Carriage House. They're now on 250 toward Ivy under a tent, where they're selling the freshest seafood in Charlottesville. And Harris, toward the tail end of the interview, I asked Ted and Susan about their love story, and it just came out of nowhere. He talked about New Year's Eve and New Year's Day spending time with Dave Matthews after one of Dave's shows at the Omni Hotel. Once that story came out, homie, what were you thinking? Were you not blowing out of the water when he started talking about Dave Matthews?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. You asked him about their love story, and Ted was like, "Oh, it's actually an interesting story. On our first date, like, we had Dave Matthews personally serenade us or something." I was just like, "What? We need to hear this story."
Right. I mean, he goes, "We welcomed Dave to our room. We had a bottle of champagne." You know what, Harris, Ted tells it better than us. Ted and Susan tell it better than us. Cue up Ted and Susan Anderson's love story and how it applies to Dave Matthews on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
All the time.
We fell madly in love pretty quickly. I'll tell you a really cool story. Our second or third date was New Year's Eve at the Omni going to see the Dave Matthews show.
Really?
And after the show...
This is 91?
This was 92.
92?
After the show, I was really trying to impress her, so I took champagne, I took good wine, I took a nice seafood platter. I was trying to be romantic and spoiler rotten. And I yelled to Dave, and I said, "Hey, Dave, I've got shrimp." And he goes, "What room are you in?" And I told him. And he came to our room after his show and spent the whole evening, New Year's Eve, with us, entertaining, because he's not just a songwriter and a singer. He's an entertainer.
Yeah.
He's an entertainer.
He's a performer.
He's a performer, and he entertained us all night long. And I kept looking at him and looking back at Susan and thinking, "Oh, I've got this. I've got this."
That was so good. Was that when Dave, this is a sizzle reel start to finish. Don't finish it yet, Harris Tolbert. This is phenomenal. Was that when he was still a bar back at Miller's?
No.
Okay, so
no.
was he bigger now?
He was much bigger. It was not. He had not quite gotten famous.
Was he
but
playing tracks?
Oh, he was selling out everywhere.
Okay.
But he hadn't. I don't think he'd had his first hit yet.
Okay.
It was probably a year or two before that.
Before Under the Table and Dreaming was released.
Yes.
Right before.
It was right before that album was released.
That's
So
one of
he-
my favorite albums of all time.
Mine too.
Yeah.
Mine too.
Keep
I love
talking
it.
to me about this story. I love this story so much.
No, it was just, it was awesome. It was a great, I knew I had it in the bag. Like I say, I mean, Dave sat there. He put on an amazing show. We danced. We had a blast. He came to the room afterwards and literally entertained us until the sun came up. And then
You guys were partying.
we did.
What? Tell me what
You have
was.
no idea. I can't say it on the air.
I have a good idea. tell me what was going on and who else was in the room. This is a great freaking story.
There
was
weren't
fun.
a lot of other people in the room. There was your roommate.
His bodyguard was there.
His bodyguard came, Jeff, and your roommate, Kay,
Kay,
was
Celia.
there. Yeah, it was a very small crowd.
And this is at the Omni Hotel.
very intimate, yes, in Richmond.
This is amazing.
It's very cool.
That is such a cool story. You had New Year's Eve and New Year's Day with Dave.
I was with Dave Matthews the night that he wrote the song that he won his first Grammy for.
What was that song?
I can't remember.
Do you know that song, Harris Tolbert? You're a big Judah. Look up first Grammy Award for Dave Matthews Band,
I
please.
was with him the
What
night
would you
he
say?
wrote that.
Was it? What would you say?
Him and Peter wrote it together.
Okay.
Who used to play keyboards.
First Grammy Award, Dave Matthews Band, Judah Wickhar. Judah Wickhar, one of the producers on the show, making that happen. Tell me more about this story.
That's
Susan,
it. I
jump
mean,
in.
Yes,
This
I
story's
was
amazing.
impressed.
we fell
I
in
was
love.
impressed. I was impressed. I had a smile on my face the whole night, the whole day. Probably no sleep that night.
We didn't sleep.
The whole day the next day. No, it was just really, really fun. And it was fun to be a part of something else that was growing out of Charlottesville. That
Right.
was new and
Yeah.
big and exciting. Dave Matthews Band.
Right. Unbelievable story. I mean, Dave Matthews, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, a bottle of champagne. One of my favorite aspects of that sizzle reel was when Ted described Dave. Ted described him not as a singer. He described him as like an entertainer. So you know that Dave in that room, I mean, to be a fly on the wall in the room when Dave Matthews was, before Dave was big, when he was a young guy, partying like a rock star on New Year's Eve, I would have just loved to absolutely been in that room. And I salute Ted and Susan. I look forward to working with them in the future. I look forward to our meeting on Tuesday. Ray Cadell says 2 great shows with the Andersons and, of course, Jim Carpenter. I truly, truly agree with that. Chris Turner and Croze says, I love the Ted Anderson show, Inside and Out. Tim in Richmond, he says, the interview with Jim Carpenter I watched from start to finish. We were moved in Richmond, and we don't understand how the Vietnam Memorial and the city we love, which is Charlottesville, is not accessible to the people that need it the most, and I totally agree. We're going to sidestep that, and we're going to go to Joe Biden. Joe Biden, Harris Tolbert, recently announced his campaign for presidency. He did not do it in Charlottesville, Virginia, in city limits. He did not support or offer any contribution to the Heather Heyer Foundation. He has not been to Charlottesville since August 11th and August 12th. He has done nothing, from what I've gathered, to help Charlottesville or Central Virginia heal since August 11th and August 12th. But what Joe Biden has done is he has used a 4-minute campaign video, 3 minutes being allocated to the city of Charlottesville, 3 minutes being allocated to the city of Charlottesville in a way where white supremacists were carrying tiki torches down Market Street and on the grounds at the University of Virginia, literally showing them on camera. It's been almost 18 months since this event, yet he's leveraging, manipulating, misconstruing, whatever you want to call it, August 11th and August 12th for his personal gain. Harris Tolbert, cue up the clip. I offered my thoughts on Joe Biden's campaign announcement and how I thought it was disturbing, disheartening, disenchanting, and downright potentially destructive for the Charlottesville community. And fortunately, we're going to have 18 more months of this as Joe Biden tries to get a seat in the White House. Harris Tolbert, cue it up. Joe Biden announced his campaign for presidency yesterday with roughly a 4-minute video that, I was not a huge fan of. I was disappointed with it. I was disenchanted with it. I was disheartened with it. I felt that Joe Biden exploited August 11th and August 12th, 2017 for his personal gain, for his campaign for presidency. He once again put Charlottesville in the spotlight in a way that I don't think is indicative of our community by showing white supremacists carrying tiki torches around grounds at the University of Virginia, down here on Market Street. He highlighted and spotlighted the evil and the racist behavior for his personal gain, and he exploited what happened on August 11th and August 12th to create a narrative that he is going to try to leverage to compete against Donald Trump. And I think part of the reason we're in this situation is because Donald Trump made a very boneheaded comment when he said that there were fine people on either side here on August 11th and August 12th, and that was not the case. There were not fine people on either side on A12 in Charlottesville. I saw it firsthand. I was right out here in front of the Macklin building, and I saw sin and evil that I'd never seen before. And I thought, and we are in the process of healing, of galvanizing and coming together as a community and getting stronger and using A11 and A12 to potentially as a point that we can have conversations like we had yesterday with Carl Brown on the I Love CVille show. Now Joe Biden is putting this back in the spotlight, and it's going to be there for the next 18 months as he runs for a spot in the White House, and that irritates the heck out of me. You know what? I'm frustrated with it, and I know it's going to continue for 18 more months as he makes his push to the White House. I just hope that we can move on from Charlottesville. And I think what's happened since August 11th and August 12th is it's galvanized the community, and it's allowed us to have dialogue and conversation that we otherwise were not having before August 11th and August 12th. And we're going to play a clip from an interview in a little bit from Carl Brown, where we were talking conversations and topics that a number of people have said had to be in the Charlottesville dialogue, had not have been in the Charlottesville dialogue, and they thanked us for putting these topics in the Charlottesville dialogue. Topics like gentrification, topics like the evolution of African-American neighborhoods in the city of Charlottesville, topics like how increased taxes are unfortunately pushing the impoverished, the citizens in Charlottesville who are struggling financially, are making lower and middle income wages out of their city and out of their neighborhoods. What it was like to be an African American in the city of Charlottesville growing up. These are topics we had with Carl Brown on this program. And I think these are the topics, and these are some of the positives that have manifested themselves since August 11th and August 12th. And for Biden to take us back down that road is unfortunate. And I'll leave it at that. I want to go to the next clip, Harris Tolber. It's going to be about the evolution of Little Planets. And Little Planets, guys, is a three-part business. The first time I was touched by Harr's Little Planets was at Devil's Backbone at a festival, the Seafood and Brew Festival at Devil's Backbone. And my wife, my son, and I were there. And we wanted something to do with our son, Trey, who's 13 months old, 14 months old. He's walking now. And we found this safe child play area where it was sandboxes and like toys for them to play with, a shaded area. And I was like, wow, Little Planets is awesome. Then I found out Little Planets has a spot in the Ix Art Park where moms and dads can take their kids from a membership standpoint and have them do tactile activities like art, crafts, music, in a safe place. Harr and her team are also designing safe play places for kids. Eva Harr, safe play places for kids at breweries, at wineries. She's an entrepreneur, Eva Harr, that is undoubtedly making Charlottesville a better place. And I'd like for you to hear the Little Planets evolution. Harris Tolber, my friend, let's go ahead and play that clip, please. Awesome. So this is what I love, and I'm going to throw it back to you. Is like you saw, like a lot of successful businesses, you saw a niche because there was something that you were struggling with. And you're like, what are my kids going to do at this festival? Okay, there's plenty of stuff to do for mom and dad. And mom and dad can go rage in the front row and listen to the band.
Right.
Eat at the food truck, mom and dad can head to the beer or wine stand and have a couple libations. But if, as we get older and as we have kids and we bring the kids to the festivals, what are they going to do? You saw a need and you filled the void. Put that in perspective. I mean, give me a little firsthand testimonial.
Sure. Yes, I have two boys. They're now 6 and 11.
Okay.
But 5 years ago, they were much younger, and it was actually at a Tom Tom Festival block party.
Awesome.
You know, there was a lot for grown-ups to do. We could listen to music. We could have a beer. The kids were bored out of their mind. There wasn't a good place to sit down and eat for them. And so I started thinking about how I could change this. And I have another company called ASAP Sitters, which primarily functions in the D.C. area. But I reached out to a festival in Northern Virginia and said, hey, do you guys need a young kids play area? And they said, yeah, we do, but we don't have any money for it. So we did a marketing trade, and it just so happened that the people that produced that festival produced another one in Virginia, and then they got in touch with us and said, hey, do you want to do one of these at our festival too? And then it just kind of took off from there.
I love the story. I love the journey. I feel much more comfortable, and I know my wife does, when we go to shows and concerts and festivals where there's a safe space for our boy, Trey, where we're able to do his thing. Harris Tolber, our director, is a diehard music fan, very passionate about music. You growing up, any options like this for you and the Tolber family?
Not really. My parents are huge music fans, but, you know, they kind of left, you know, me and my brother at home because, you know, there weren't many options like this. And what I love about Little Planets is, like, their whole mission statement is to approach childcare from a way that integrates the kids with nature. And in my opinion, those are the two things we need most in the world right now. We need kids learning how to be creative from a young age because we need creative people. And we need kids that are growing up caring about nature, caring about the world that they live in. And, so that's what I love about Little Planets is their mission statement right there.
I love it. Poignant, very poignant, Harris Tolber. Ava is someone that we're going to meet with here in about 50 minutes. We'll see if we can form a potential partnership. We're talking about potentially doing a festival alongside with Little Planets and I Love CVille. So stay tuned for that news. I want to spotlight an entrepreneur, Harris Tolber, and a restaurateur that's doing big-time things. Nikki and Yannick Fayolle are doing amazing things. They are taking over, ladies and gentlemen, the old barbecue joint in Belmont, and they're making it their own. Now it's No Limits Smokehouse. And I was there for the grand opening, went there with my wife and son. They sold out before 1:45. We loved promoting them and helping get attention for their grand opening. Before 1:45, it was a sellout. There was a line around the corner before they even opened. They're doing amazing things, and we spotlighted Nikki on this program and her entrepreneurial journey. Harris Tolber, let's cue up that sizzle reel, please, sir. Put into perspective how this restaurant got to this point. How did we get to the evolution of the brand, of the business? Like, what were you guys thinking? Like, were you like, Texas barbecue is missing here in Charlottesville, we can fill that void? Tell us the story.
We went to Austin and we thought it was a good idea. We came back and we did it. I hate to say it, but that is about as easy as it was. We went to Austin. We fell in love with Austin. And for those of you who have not been, you should totally go. It is a super rad place. The food chain, the whole food scene is off the chain, absolutely off the chain. Yannick, I mean, we tried to go to Franklin's like 4 freaking times when we were over there and could not get in to save our life. Like, it was a freaking nightmare.
Inspiration.
Oh my God.
As an entrepreneur.
Oh my God. It was crazy. Like, what he's doing over there is amazing. Like, even on his, which we have on our website as well, and I copied it. I will say it right now because what he has on his menu or on his website is 11 a.m. till sell out. So that's exactly what I have on ours. Unfortunately, you can't do that on Google, but you know. So, and he does. He sells out every day. Ever since he's opened that restaurant, he sells out every day. And to be perfectly honest, that should be the goal with brisket because you don't want to reheat that stuff.
Right.
Like, you don't. It's not. You want it fresh. You want it right when it comes out. You cut it,
Melt
you get all
in your
that
mouth.
juice. Yeah, right there, done. And you sell out, and then you should appreciate the fact that it also builds that sense of urgency when you're like, it's that damn good that shit sold out, and I'm going back for it.
Harris, you were at the grand opening with us. We sat at a table together. I got the brisket. I got the mac and cheese, the truffle mac and cheese. They sold out of brisket. I think I was the second to last order of brisket. You got there a little earlier than I do. I was taken aback by the energy at the restaurant. I was taken aback how good Yannick's food was. What were your thoughts of the No Limit Smokehouse grand opening?
It was amazing. I mean, the whole place was pretty much packed the whole time we were there. I think they sold out like around 2 p.m. when we all expected it to go probably to the late afternoon. I mean, that's just a testament to how excited people are about this restaurant. I got the brisket. I got the cornbread. And guys, you got to check out this cornbread. I mean, I don't know what was in it, but like it was the best cornbread I maybe ever had. I think it had like apple cinnamon mixed in or something. It was amazing. Everyone needs to go check that out.
You were hyping the cornbread when we got there. If you haven't been to No Limit Smokehouse, get there. What's up to John Wyatt? What's up to Scott in Virginia Beach? What's up to Bon, Romer, Ray Cadell, Dana Mook, Billy Kernick, Michael Guthrie, Ted Anderson, folks watching across the Commonwealth on 7 channels here on the I Love CVille network. It's a best of show. We had an idea of creating a montage of the last 8 or 10 programs and giving you the best highlights of it. So this is our first iteration of it. I think we're going to do more of this because it's been extremely well received. If you could give the show a like or share, whatever channel you're watching, that would mean the world to us. One of the things that has been positive since August 11th and August 12th in Charlottesville is the ability to have dialogue and dialogues that we're not necessarily having prior to August 11th and August 12th. And Harris, I want you to get the Carl Brown interview ready to go. His conversation and our conversation on what we should do with the statues in Charlottesville. He had an innovative approach that I had yet to hear, and I think it's important that you guys listen to what Carl Brown has to say, and an innovative approach that I had yet to consider. Harris Tolbert, cue up that clip.
I think it's more important that that statue is there. We need to have another statue to talk about what that Confederacy meant and how much impact. So it's 2 sides, not just one side, where you got one statue of him where it's glorifying him. We got to remember that the Confederacy lost, regardless of what you want to say. The Confederacy lost. If they had won, I probably wouldn't be sitting here having this conversation with you right now. You know, so we got to keep that in mind. But I think it's important that we go back and, as opposed to trying to tear something down, now we add something to it. You understand?
That was freaking good right there.
So
it was good.
We know what Robert Lee did. Let's talk about the impact of all the other people that he impacted when he did what he did. What the Confederacy did. So when a kid goes and look and says, he did this and say, but he also lost and he also surrendered, and this opened up the doors for blacks to be blah, blah, blah. Whatever you want to say, however you want to say it, so you have a 2-sided story so blacks can say, okay, this is what I'm offended by this, but this is the even Steven, and if you're reading this right now, this is why you're here. Because of this. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Something different. It takes too much money to move that type of stuff. That costly. It take you nothing to set that up.
It was hundreds of thousands of dollars to move the statues.
We talking about some writing, and we're talking about a plaque that you can just add on and just to give the other side to the story. And so for every statue, there needs to be another side. There needs to be someone that is represented who died for that cause.
Interesting. So this is like, you are blowing my mind right here. So this is, and I don't want to assume, and I love this dialogue. And people are saying we need a part 2, a part 3, and a part 4 of this interview.
Yeah.
Because of you.
Well, you know you my guy, so we can do this all day long.
Because we could do this all
We've
day long.
had this conversation.
We could do this all day long. So you're blowing my mind, and I want to like try to like understand. Okay. So you're saying maybe the right solution was not move the statues. Maybe the right solution was add additional statues or a plaque to the statues that commemorated or championed or celebrated or embraced or made approachable or welcomed the African-American community in Charlottesville.
Those individuals who fought for the cause, who died for the cause.
I've never heard that idea, and I love that idea.
And so it's 2 sides.
Love that
R.A.
idea.
Lee is there, so give it, okay, that's R.A. Lee, he was a Confederate. This is such and such, and this person did this during that time and lost his life behind it.
Pamela A. Scott Harris says, well said, Carl.
Appreciate you.
Well said, Carl. Keep talking to me about this.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, you got to know you got to know what you're dealing with. And so I knew a long time ago those statues were not put there by individuals from this town. And so they're all over the place. You can go to Appomattox. You can go.
Chapel Hill, North Carolina.
Yeah, those were done by state legislators. So if you want to really get those statues moved that where it won't cost you a dime, you go down to Richmond and you say, we want them all removed on your book. We wanted you to take it off the book because that's how you get laws changed. And they have, and from a standpoint of how you're going to do that's a lawsuit waiting to happen. But if
the city councilors are literally in a lawsuit right now over this.
Because
they're trying to move them.
And you can't move them as a state. Listen, that's state. That's on the state level. That's legislation. That's like trying to change a law in your community, and the state has already set the law. You can't do it.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you got to know that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to do it on that state level. I think it would have been better to get a bunch of individuals in with statues in their community to go to Richmond and say, we want those statues out of our community, and only you can do it.
Carl Brown crushed it. His second rodeo on the I Love CVille show. I promised to integrate him more into the program. I love his frank, honest, real, authentic perspective. A lifelong resident of Charlottesville, someone who grew up in Preston Heights, and someone who's seen Charlottesville in his lifetime evolve dramatically. I think it's important on this program to make this platform a representation of Charlottesville and Central Virginia in totality, and that is what we are doing with the I Love CVille show. I want to highlight a restaurateur that is making big-time moves as we move to another story and another highlight, and that is Wilson Richey. He owns the Whiskey Jar, Revolutionary Soup. He helped start the Alley Light. He helped start the Pie Chest. He managed Commonwealth Sky Bar. He launched the Wine Guild. He has his hands in a lot of things. The Bebedero. He is undoubtedly the most prolific restaurateur in Charlottesville. He and Andy McClure. And he was on our program, and he gave 46 or 47 seconds of advice. And Harris, I want you to cue up that clip. Advice that can apply to any person, whether they're a restaurateur, an entrepreneur, or someone that is in a tough time in their life and they're just trying to get by. Okay? Wilson Richey, Harris Tolbert, cue it up.
I don't know. I think you can't start too small. I try to encourage people who are into this even way before they're into owning their own restaurant. Master each step along the way. Be the best dishwasher and nail that, and then be the best line guy and nail that, and build on a series of small successes, and don't go for the top too quickly. Build on each smaller success in this industry or in any industry in life. My dad always said, you're only ever working for yourself. And so if you have that attitude that whatever you do, whoever you're working for, you're doing it for yourself, then I think you'll get there.
Wilson Richey, I appreciate you coming on the program. That advice, I think, applies to anything, ladies and gentlemen, in the world. That's why we gave you that sizzle reel. Go support his restaurants. He is actively making Charlottesville a better place. I want to spotlight a UVA graduate, Harris Tolbert, Patrick Estes. He played tight end for Al Groh at the University of Virginia. He then went on to a short career in the National Football League with the San Francisco 49ers and the Buffalo Bills. He's returned to Charlottesville, where he's living in Crozet, and he's living a life that I think he loves, okay? He's got kids. He's got a fantastic wife who's a teacher. He is now running for Albemarle County Sheriff. Patrick Estes joined us on the program. Let's spotlight what he has to say, Harris Tolbert.
And I'm really excited to be here. And to me, I like the word opportunity. It's one of my favorite words because there's so many opportunities out there, but what you do with them is up to you, and no one can no one can steer you from how you attack an opportunity. And when I saw this one, once my wife and I sat down and said, hey, we're doing this, it's full throttle, and I am competitive, and I'm not going to let up, and I'm going to do everything that we can to do it, to get to where I want to be, for good reasons. I've been doing the right thing, and doing the right thing all the time is. Someone taught me that. My Sergeant Fitting back at Santa Clara PD taught us when we came in. He hired us and said, do the right thing all the time. That was his thing. And if you do the right thing all the time, you're never wrong.
Patrick Estes, job well done. We're not going to endorse anyone. All we're going to do is introduce the candidates to you so you can make an informed decision. I appreciated his straightforwardness and his willingness to come on the platform. I appreciate another entrepreneur who's straightforward, who's fantastic. She's had 2 appearances on the I Love CVille show. Her name is Kathryn Matthews. She is the owner of Iron Paffles and Coffee on Water Street. She legitimately invented a food category with the puff pastry. She is making big-time time moves in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. IRON, Paffles and Coffee. She working 80 hours a week, getting to work at 4 a.m., dealing with the struggles of staffing, dealing with the struggles of running a business. Running a business as an entrepreneur is hard. Every day you are putting out fires. I want to introduce you to IRON, Paffles and Coffee and its co-founder, Harris Tolber. Her name is Kathryn Matthews, one of my favorites here on the I Love CVille show. Harris Tolber, give us that clip.
Yeah.
I'm going to get out of your way. Let me throw this to you. The evolution of IRON Paffles, 2-year anniversary. I'm so impressed.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's gone so quickly. So yeah, I mean, I've told the story before, but my mom's a single mother, so I used to cook all the time while she was working the evening shift. And that's how I learned to love food. Instead of cooking like the convenience food, I wanted to do something else. And we have a lot of markets in the UK, which are pretty cheap compared to the United States. Like farmers markets are completely different where I'm from. So I really liked experimenting with local produce. The Paffles side of things, I used to make pastry when I was in college, which is the same as high school here. And my friends just really loved it. And we started using that instead of having bread. We'd always have pastry in the freezer and thaw it out and put it on a waffle iron.
How did that first happen?
I learned pastry when I was really, really young. And one time we ran out of bread and it was too late. And, we'd been drinking, so we needed something to eat. And so we just took the puff pastry and put it on the waffle iron, and then, because I would use it for pies.
And that was the moment that changed your life right there.
Yeah,
it was the aha moment.
Yeah, it was a hot moment. And,
That's awesome.
we were all drunk, so we were like, maybe it wasn't that great, maybe, we just really needed food. So I just made it again and again, and everyone really loved it. So I just made it all the time. Like when I went to university, I made it.
Does anybody else do this?
No.
Did anybody steal this from you?
I've seen variations since, especially in Virginia. There's like different places that...
Does that piss you off?
It does a little.
Or is it imitation as the finest form of flattery?
Yeah, it's flattery, It is flattery. But at the same time, I'm like, I should have trademarked it sooner.
Can you trademark something like that? Do we know?
Kind of. You can trademark the name to the product, but people can do a different variation. Like they could call it Puffles, for example. So I couldn't do it fully. But the name, I wish I'd, trademarked.
The name is awesome.
Thank you. Well, I've seen people use Paffles as well.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen people use that name. Yeah. And I had someone in France actually, like a few weeks ago, saying like, "Oh, I love Paffles. I started making them. Can you tell me where you get boxes from and give me the ingredients?" So
you said no.
Yeah. I was like, I'm flattered, but so.
Unbelievable stuff right there from Kathryn Matthews. I love to talk with entrepreneurs and see how they evolve their business, and I think the future is very, very bright for IRON, Paffles and Coffee, thanks to a leader like Kathryn Matthews. 2 more sizzle reels I want to highlight. One of them is the evolution of another locally owned business, one that's filling a niche that undoubtedly needs to be filled, and it's John Craig and André Xavier and what they're doing with CVille Hop-On Tours. This business is crushing it. They're going into Richmond. They're going into the Shenandoah Valley. They have plans to go to the Northern Virginia. CVille Hop-On Tours and the Hop-On Tours concept is brilliant. Harris Tolber, we caught up with its founder, André Xavier, on the program. His second rodeo on the show. I'd like for the audience to see André Xavier. Cue it up, Harris Tolber. Same question to you. What you love about CVille Hop-On Tours, the future of CVille Hop-On Tours, your role in the community, anywhere you want to go.
Absolutely. So what I love about CVille Hop-On Tours is the fact that we made wine tasting, beer tasting, craft affordable. So now people have the opportunity to go and experience those amazing destinations at an affordable price. And so we kind of opened the market there. I love that we have an impact on the local community through our drivers, that they get paid a living wage, so we're making a difference on people's lives. I'm thankful for the partnership that I have with John. And, Sharon is awesome. And Charlie, my wife, also helps the business tremendously. So I'm very thankful for them. The future, I think, Hop-On is going to grow to be a business that is going to make us very proud, for sure. I think 15 buses now, it's not even 20% of what we're going to grow. I think we're going to grow to different markets and probably have, close to 60 or 80 buses at one point.
That's
in
sick.
the next 5 years. That I'm pretty confident that that's going to happen. And I just kind of freestyling here. I think the most important thing is, besides all the businesses and all the success that we have, is think as someone who lives in Charlottesville, whose families live in Charlottesville, it's important that we care about this community, that we appreciate what we have, because we see hundreds of people, thousands of people coming on the weekends to enjoy what we have, and a lot of times we don't appreciate, and if everyone did something during the week that living here, that probably help the local businesses during the week, to go out to a winery or a brewery or have lunch or dinner on the downtown mall during the week that we live here, that could benefit that midweek business tremendously. And I think it's important that we also spend time with our families. As I talk about time early, it's like, spend time with your kids, put down that cell phone that we're all addicted to it. That's kind of crazy how much time it takes from us. Just spend time with them, create those memories, because that's the only thing that truly matters at the end of the day, is the time that we spend with family, friends. That's all that matters.
You know what, Harris? I thought the Hop on Tours journey was it's just awesome, man. I love to see locally owned businesses succeed, and I love what John and André are doing. We have one last sizzle reel to get to, and this is one that you picked personally. I want you, my friend, as you get it ready to go, and I'm going to throw it to you, you're going to lead us into this sizzle reel yourself. You can offer the commentary, you cue it up, and when it's over, throw it back to me to finish. I want you to let us know why you picked Eli Raybon on this sizzle reel.
I picked Eli on this sizzle reel because I really enjoyed having him on the show, and I think that he represents somebody who kind of goes about his life and living in kind of an unconventional manner, and that's something that I think I kind of aspire to. I like that he kind of does things his own way, and this he has some amazing originals, but he covered the Flaming Lips with a cover of Yoshimi, and Jerry and I really enjoyed it, so I'm going to cue that up in just a second.
Let's cue it up. Let's play it. Eli Raybon, Yoshimi. Let's see what we got. This is fantastic stuff right here. Yoshimi is a cover that I absolutely love. Eli Raybon has the courage to be...
Her name is Yoshimi. She's a black belt in karate, working for the city. She has to discipline her body, 'cause she knows that it's demanding to defeat those evil machines. I know she can beat them. Oh, Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots eat me. Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots defeat me. Those evil-natured robots are programmed to destroy us. She's gotta be strong to fight them, so she's taking lots of vitamins, 'cause she knows that it'd be tragic if those evil robots win. I know she can beat them. Oh, Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those robots defeat me. Yoshimi, they don't believe me, but you won't let those
Eli Raybon, baby. Love the goggles, love the willingness to be himself. If you've noticed, a common thread across all these clips is the people we feature on this show have the courage to be themselves, have the courage to make Charlottesville a better place. And I think that's our mission here on the I Love CVille show. We're going to continue to introduce this best of concept on the program, and we're going to continue kind of spotlighting highlights from all our shows, because I think it's a good Cliff Notes version of what we've done over a week or a 10-day period of time. And I think it's something where it's going to give you a flavor of a lot of different people and what they're doing to make Charlottesville a better place. I really want to give some props to Harris Tolber for putting this program together. He worked hard. He did a good job directing this show. Also to Judah Wickhauer for running assistance. The whole mission of I Love CVille is to feature the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. We are social entrepreneurs. We're an advertising agency and a real estate portfolio that's focused on leaving Charlottesville in a better place. That is our entire mission, social entrepreneurs or conscious capitalists. We close the program the same way every single time. I want you guys to embody the golden rule. Whether you're in Albemarle County, whether you're in Crozet, Fluvanna, Orange, Louisa, anywhere in Central Virginia, anywhere in the Commonwealth, anywhere in the country or the world, treat others how you want to be treated yourself. If you treat others how you want to be treated yourself, it will have a positive viral impact across our community. Guys, I know Charlottesville needs it. The golden rule. I'm Jerry Miller. It's the I Love CVille show from Monday through Friday, 12:30 to 1:30 on the I Love CVille network.